Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We spoke earlier today to Gareth Thomas, CEO of Westhaven Gold Corp, newly named, about their project in BC. And if you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation and indeed the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports, commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of commodities and companies, training videos, summaries of other interviews that we've done, and a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other. So go along there now and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. Of course, we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like, leave your thoughts below. And if you want to see what we talked about, take a look at the description below. Gareth, how are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you, Matthew.
Hey, well, thanks for joining us. Where are you today?
I'm in a beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. Nice, somewhat rainy, overcast day.
Good. Same here.
As usual.
It always is. We seem to have parallel weather systems. So hey, we're looking forward to this one. We were going to catch up last week, but I think we all kind of ran out of a bit of time. So thanks for coming and share the story with us. Because first time we've spoken about it, first time we've heard the story. Looking forward to it. But I tell you what, before we do that, can you just kick off, give us like a 1-minute overview of the project? Not the sales pitch, just tell us what you got and we'll pick it up from there.
Sure. Well, Westhaven Gold Corp is focused primarily in southwestern British Columbia. In fact, our projects are about a 2.5-hour drive from where I am today in Vancouver. We have our flagship Shovelnose project, which is 30 minutes south of the city of Merritt, and Merritt's about 10,000 people. We had a major high-grade gold discovery there in late 2018, where we hit 17.7 meters of 24.5 grams per ton gold and 103 grams per ton silver. We followed that up last year with our best intercept of 12.66 grams per ton gold, 12.66 meters of 39 grams per ton gold. So needless to say, very nice world-class intercepts. And we're now, fast forward to 2020, where we are now nearing the end. We're approaching 40,000 meters of drilling here this year. And we have a great new discovery about 3.5 kilometers away from that initial discovery in the south zone. We're now in the Fran zone and the Forget-Me-Not, where we're quite excited and drilling there as we speak.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Gareth. 2008. Let's talk. You've been going a lot longer than that, but let's pick this story up in the recent incarnation, as you are now, from 2018. That just blew the. You kind of hit out of the park with that when you were around sort of 20 cents, went up to about 140 at some point in no short order, and you've kind of managed to sustain interest, but it wasn't a particularly brilliant market. It wasn't a particularly positive environment for you. So, I mean, talk to me, what happened from 2018 up until, the gold price started moving and sort of, late 19? How did you keep things going?
You know what? That's an excellent question, and one we get asked quite a bit, especially with this, was a pretty hot looking gold market there in the summer. Obviously things have tamed down a little bit, but you know what? It's one thing I sort of say, and it's certainly no excuse, but I find in this, what was kind of a fickle market, if you will, you're only as good as your last drill hole. And for us, whether it's a blessing or a curse, we happen to hit a pretty darn good couple of intercepts. Some of our best to date, really, on those first few holes. So I think when people see, even though we're extending and expanding this system and adding ounces daily, sort of, I think people always want that big 400 or 500 meter or gram meter intercept. So, we've been doing what we said we're going to do. We've been putting obviously the money we raise into the ground, drilling, and we're trying to find more new south zones. And we think we've done that here with the Frans and also with our FMN zone, which we're drilling currently, which is coming together with the Frans, and we're hoping to have some good news out shortly on that.
No, I get all that, Gareth, but I guess what the bit I'm kind of focused on in terms of timeline is the, kind of late 2018 through to late 2000, I'm going to say 19, when gold wasn't really doing too much, right? And that's kind of, in terms of your share price, that's been kind of the best it's been. And then you kind of come into, late 2019 onwards, gold started picking up from like August, September 2019, right? In terms of the price. And then, the kind of COVID dip aside, gold price has been on the up, but your share price hasn't really moved too much. I mean, what do you put that down to?
Yeah, I mean, another good question. I think that's as we step out from this South Zone, our discovery in 2018, our goal was to find more of these. It's a very underexplored property, 17,000 hectares, and we're really focused on the South Zone, and we've drilled enough there to know what's there. So to answer your question there, we were stepping out and testing really, obviously good targets. We're not just drilling for the sake of drilling, but a lot more risky targets, if you will. And there's not a ton of rock in this area, so it takes a lot of other tools besides prospecting and geology, a lot of geophysics. We got LIDAR, helicopter mag, ground magnetics, and it's exploration and it can be risky. And I think to answer your question again, I think it was a little impatient on people we drilled 20,000 meters and not a ton of success. And I think that's, unfortunately, that's a bit of the business. But once we hit on one of these, we hit on the Franz and it moved our market cap 45 million in a day. So I think that's sort of the thing. We're really, it's a little bit of a risk reward thing here. And that's something, obviously, I've been involved in this business it's not as you're probably aware, Matthew, it's not the most least stressful business you can work in. It's just you got to learn to be a little bit patient sometimes. And as an investor myself and other groups, it's a hard thing to do. But for us, we know there's going to be a lot more gold there. It's just a matter of putting our finger on it. And sometimes it is the old cliche. It's a bit of a needle in a haystack. And we think we have one of the best guys in the world doing this, Peter Fischel, our exploration manager. So we have our full trust in him, and time will tell.
Yeah, needle in a haystack. Yeah, I get it. It's tough. Okay, I always say mining's tough for sure. But how much money have you spent to date since 2018? How much money have you spent on this, getting to this point?
We're averaging, just to put it in perspective here, in terms of drilling. Our all-in drilling cost is about $180 a meter. That goes up and down. Compared to our peers in the rest of Canada, they're about $450 a meter. So we're under half price really for drilling. But if you put together, since late 2018, we drilled 22,000 meters last year, and we'll drill about 40,000 this year. So that's about 60,000 put it times 200. So we're looking at about $12-14 million we've spent here, and we think this will add by year end here with any luck, with a few holes that we think are looking quite good. We think this will add to our market cap significantly. So time will tell. So
what's the plan here? Because obviously the first ounces discovered sound really quite expensive, but obviously the more you understand about the geology and what you think you've got underground, and hopefully identifying sources, etc., it'll get cheaper. But so how much? Give me the numbers saying how much you've spent today and how much. Because I saw you did a raise back in June about just over $5 million. What's that going to do for you? And when do you have to raise some more money? Because 91 million market cap, people are paying attention to you. That's all good.
Yep.
But you've been putting a lot of money in the ground.
Yeah, we've been drilling a lot. We got. You're not gonna have success unless you drill at the stage we're at. Period. We're not building a mine here. We're not going into development yet. A resource is in the back of our mind. We kind of have an idea what we think's there, but 3 rigs going, that does certainly add up in price, as you mentioned there. But you have to drill in order to have success, and that's what we're doing. And we think that will ultimately, that's what's going to add to our value of the company is finding more of these south zones or franzes, and you got to drill to do that. So that's what that's really our plan at this point. Our strategy is to find targets through various methods and tools, including prospecting, geophysics. Then we put a drill on it and test to see what's below there. And that's really the name of the game here. Is we got to have targets, drill, and hopefully a bit of luck, and we can hit more of these veins. But we're on to one big solid structure now that we think is starting to pay off here.
Right. So give me the answer to that question. So how much have you spent to date since the 2018 period in dollar terms?
We've spent about 14 million to date since in about 2 years' time.
Okay, and then you've got
we raised 7 million last September or October. Then we raised another we raised 2.5 million in early 2019. 7 million in just below 7 million in late 2019, and we raised, like you mentioned, another 5 million there just recently in June. So yeah, probably around 14 million we've spent since 2018.
Right. Okay. And then so next year's drill program, is that fully funded?
Not fully funded. No, we're probably going to have to go to the fairly soon to the. We're good for for a few months here, but we certainly are cognizant of having to raise some capital here, and we got fortunate for us, we got a lot of interest from various different avenues. So we're just obviously putting a lot of thought in the best way, most non-dilutive way for our shareholders and potential shareholders, I should say, and it's helpful. Our between a few of us on the board, we own 30% of the shares outstanding, which makes it obviously we're very aligned with shareholders and potential investors. So we want what's best for the company here. We want this to succeed. We want a 5-10 bagger. It's we think the potential's there again. We did it before. And we think it's going to be. We think there's a long way to go here.
Okay, 30%, brilliant. But you used the phrase there, most non-dilutive manner possible. I mean, how do you do that at this space? You're explorers. How do you do a non-dilutive version?
Yeah, well, that's an excellent question. I think for us is just making sure we put our best foot forward in a way. As mentioned there, we're expecting some good results coming up here. So I think we'll wait till the labs here, and not to get off topic, but the labs here where our assays go are quite gummed up at the moment. But we're hoping to have those assays out before we go back to market. We think this could be a pretty significant. What we're seeing at least is looking quite interesting in terms of where we are. And we want to wait for that hole should be in the lab in the next couple of days here. So look at 2 to 3 weeks out, and we should have some results before then as well. But that's what I meant, not to get off the topic of the fundraising, but we like to obviously get our share price up. We think we're, as most people you probably talk to on here, everyone thinks they're undervalued, but the truth is we really feel we are, and we had a lot of pressure from the last financing on we put out pretty good results. We had our stock sold off, and I think you're seeing that a lot more these days, especially in the last month or so. Obviously with a bit of the turmoil in the gold space with the election and whatnot, once again, not making an excuse, but I think you've seen some pretty good companies have had some pretty good success lately, and it's just been a liquidity event for people to get off their shares. So, unfortunately, the timing has not always been best for us at Westhaven, and it's not for any reason that we try to time. In July was obviously a great time for the gold space, and a lot of financing's being done, and a lot of good intercepts. But I think you're starting to see that teeter a bit. But I think we'll come around here once there's a little bit less turmoil. Well, I guess more turmoil is better for gold, but I think once things come a bit more into place, especially in the U.S., I think the gold price should continue to go. Should have a good year next year, is my opinion. But don't take that for anything.
I won't. But see, you got some core in the lab, and you're going to get assays back soon. Are they going to be more like the sort of September type numbers, or like the recent numbers? Because September you were banging like 14 grams per ton of gold. More recently, sort of high fours.
Yep.
And you could sort of see what happened to the share price. People get excited the higher the grade, obviously. I know you've had a little bit of reset in the gold price, with regards to your October timing there. But what do you think it's going to take to get people to understand what it is that you're chasing down here? Because at the moment, banging out high grade results, great for a while, and then the price resets. Your share price resets pretty darn quickly, right? Where people realize that there's not more coming down the line. So what's new about the way that you're going to be presenting information going forward?
Yeah, no. So we're at we're drilling at the Franz, where you mentioned the 7.78 meters of almost 15 grams, which is a great thing for us. This thing's right on surface too, right? It's an outcrop, which I think people took a while to really clue in on, especially when we put out a news release showing the rock and showing the, I think the people that were quite aware of what it meant, and maybe we'd spoken and said, look, this looks really good. They clued in and said, okay, yeah, this is great. Then we hit underneath there, so that was exciting. Where we are now is about 1 kilometer to the southeast of the Franz, called the Forget-Me-Not, or the FMN, and that's between the South Zone and the Franz. And this is now 4 kilometers long in terms of strike, and this is important. You're not going to have high-grade gold along this whole entire strike distance or length or structure, but the fact we're seeing right now, and of course we never know the grade until it's assayed, but we're seeing more similarity looking rock to the South Zone, which is a little different from what we're seeing at the Franz, just in terms of we're seeing a lot of gingaru, blebs, not as much banding, but and it's some nice looking stuff under the microscope, and we're keen to see what it is, because this could open up a whole new sort of area in terms of even what's at depth there. So it adds a complete new dimension to this 4 kilometer long strike, and it's between Franz and South Zone, which is big. And you mentioned the 4, where we drilled the 13 meters of 4.5 grams per ton. That's a nice mineable width when you're looking at surface there. So I think the more people sort of, and that could be us putting out the message a bit more clear too, if I had to say, because it's extremely important there that this thing could be mined quite easily on surface there. And I say the mine word lightly. I mean, that wouldn't be us to do that. That would certainly be, I am by no means a miner. I like to explore, but certainly by no means a miner, but that people have come up and seen from other groups and are obviously very impressed by this outcrop, and we're trying to extend this, make it bigger. It's open in both directions now, but yeah, we need we want a good high grade intercept here at this new Forget-Me-Not to see it could be game changing, and that's a quote from our exploration manager, who never says things like that.
Okay, but
so we'll see.
Well, yeah, we will see. I guess what I'm trying to piece together here, because it's a very technical story, and what I'm missing is how you're going to piece this together for the market. Not technically, your geos are having a lot of fun at the moment, right? But for the market, to help them realize a little bit quicker about what is the scale of the opportunity here. You talk about maybe getting a resource done. Maybe. Do you think you're in any position to do that anytime soon? I mean, what should we be looking forward to? End of next year for something like that?
We've talked about this obviously amongst ourselves. We've talked about it with some potential groups that are interested, and it boils down to, you have the two sides here. It's people's expectations. What are people expecting? And you see this probably all the time with groups who say, oh, we need a resource. They feel the pressure to have a resource. They go and do a resource, and it's sorry to say, it's crap, but it's expectations. So do we want to go spend $4 million? By the way, we're all permitted to do that resource too. We have our holes already permitted out. The First Nations had a look there a few weeks ago. We're prepared to do it early next year if we want to start doing it. It'd take about 20,000 meters of drilling in about 80 holes. So we are prepared to do it. It's just, what is the best outcome for our shareholders? And that's what we're deciding now. Is it worth doing it, or is it worth finding more and more gold as we're doing? And that's really what our main message is here, is to find more South Zones. Then, when we see maybe 1.5 million, 2 million ounces of gold, then maybe do we go towards the resource, or are we hopefully with any luck bought out by then? That's also no secret. That would be our end goal here, would be to get this in the hands of someone who can put this in production.
Right. So two things there. Sounds like you've already made your mind up. You don't necessarily want to put a resource together anytime soon. You think you can keep finding high grade gold.
Yeah, well, no, that's not. You may have taken words out of my mouth there. We're not haven't decided. We're still very 50-50. We're still. Okay. We want to get through the end of this year and see what this forget-me-not in the Franz leaves. Then we'll decide on the South Zone. We're still very 50-50 right now, and behind the scenes we've had some. It's no secret we've had most majors, a lot of mid tiers looking at our project. And sometimes it comes down to would they want to see us do a resource? And I'm not saying we're doing a deal with any of them, but we ask them, do they want to see, or would they rather do it themselves? And quite often they say it's kind of pointless you doing it yourself because we'll probably do our own anyway. So it's a very 50-50. That's all I can say. It's expectations and is it worth it? And to get a lot of institutional interest, you kind of need a resource or so yeah, it certainly is it's a tough one to decide, but we're certainly talking about it.
Right. Why aren't you being more ambitious with your desires? Why don't you want to grow this more?
In terms of us putting into development, you know what? We certainly we'll go down that direction, but we'd certainly have to add some pieces in terms of our group. We're primarily not to say our exploration manager spent 12 years at Kupol from discovery days right through production, so it's potential, but we'd certainly have to add some pieces to do that. And you know what? It is. I shouldn't have said that. So like we are. That's the first thing we're going to do is sell it. I mean, there's potential we could take it down, but we'd certainly have to add some pieces to that. And I'm kind of laughing because I yellow trucks scare me, so I probably wouldn't be around, which is probably a good thing for everyone. But we'd certainly put the right team. We certainly have the contacts. We know the right people. My old man's put he's a chairman of our company. He obviously put Diavik into production there. So you know what, we could certainly do it, but and we'll see at the time. I think we got a while before that happens, but we want to make this a multi-million ounce deposit. That's our goal.
Right. No, I get that. So, but do you not think in the current environment it's going to be easier to raise money, easier to bring the skill sets in that you need, and easier to capture the value further down the food chain? I get that you say you're not necessarily a mine builder, and that's fine. But given the asset, if you're looking at this asset, you're giving away a lot of value. What do your shareholders think?
About sort of carrying on to explore rather than develop?
About offloading it to a developer / producer.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's still, I guess would be our game plan. It's not to say we're looking at doing anything like that right now. We would certainly not be willing to part with this at our current price. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I think in a couple of years, 2 to 3 years time, that's something we could see, or a potential investment from a strategic may be something we consider. But no, yeah, I should rephrase that. Certainly not something we're looking to do now is offload it. We want to continue. We think this is just, this property is so underexplored, and we're piecing together. We're getting the right people involved here. We're doing the right work, a lot of geophysics, which we think will really help for next year. So while we continue along this strike from South Zone to Forget-Me-Not to Franz and beyond. So, we haven't even talked about our other projects, but I think this is obviously where we're focused at the time being would be the Shovelnose.
Right. So another 2-3 years, potentially, you're going to have to raise some money soon to deal with next year's drill program. So you've got a lot more exploration to do, a lot more information to gather. So how much money are you going to be raising?
Another good question. You know what? I think we have to. We're always very cognizant, as I mentioned before, of our share structure, how we go about that. Sometimes, we've been in the past. We raise a little to get us through, as we think better things are on the rise. And now, you know what? I think we're going to have to, raise enough money to get through a considerable amount of work where we're not feeling the pressure in the market. I think we've learned that here recently, that you need to people want to know you have money, because if you don't, they know you're. I mean, I think we all know that. So I think we've learned that maybe the hard way, but I think if we had a considerable balance sheet right now, we'd be higher than where we are. I think people realize that we have to finance or will soon. And of course, we're always relying on results. But I think this time, I think people might be, I think they'll be not surprised, but I think what we're waiting to come out in the lab, I think is going to hopefully, turn some heads again and get this price going. And then when we can finance or announce a finance, I think it would be a lot less pressure on us here for the next year or so to just go out and work and not worry about the raising the money.
Okay. So more than 10 million?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just picturing my CFO Sean here going, he's very, very conservative on how about our share structure. But yes, that would be my saying yes. Well over 10 would be my thought here. And I think the demand. We're going into a conference here today or tomorrow, the 121, and meeting with a lot of we've had a lot of good meetings. We think the demand's certainly there. I think people realize this is a pretty darn good project that maybe hasn't had a ton of a lot of people still aren't fully aware of it, and some people are still surprised when we talk to them. One, the location where it is, and what if this were to be a mine down the road, just sort of the economics of it makes for, we got power on the property. It's a very unique position, especially for British Columbia.
Yeah, for sure. Any debt? Is there any other outstanding payments? How are the finances?
No debt, and we're down from 3 drills to 2 drills now. That's as we're nearing towards the Christmas season here. We'll go down to 1 drill eventually, but we'll keep 1 drill into December. Then we'll look to see what look at our options for financing, but likely will be after the new year when we look to go to market there. But we're looking at many different avenues, but we think the demand's there. Of course, we as we're kind of joking before, we're not always Westhaven, because sometimes the way we time the market is not always the best. But I think people are still pretty darn optimistic right now about in general, but I think particularly about this project. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, so you're struggling to get institutions interested, aren't you?
You know what, we haven't done a ton in the past, just because not to put it in a cocky kind of way, but I guess we just haven't. We've done a lot of private placements with people we know who are familiar with the story. Some guys you can write a big check. We've been fortunate that way, but that's certainly something we are. I think since late 2019. We started through the various conferences, meeting with a lot more funds and institutions, and we have a 10% shareholder out of the Netherlands, a group there. So I think it's certainly time, and we're certainly meeting with lots and having some very good meetings there. So but that's something we are looking to focus on a little bit more down the road here.
Okay, fine. Yeah, well, thanks for running through the story. It's important to me to speak to you because it seems to be you've got a lot of good things going on there, but I wasn't hearing too much about what you've been up to. Wasn't quite sure how you're piecing it together. Got a couple of questions sent in. Do you mind answering some retail investor questions? You ready for this?
No problem at all. No problem at all.
So why didn't they drill Skoonka? And have they looked into AI with Windfall Geotech?
Excellent question. We have not looked at AI. I have been involved in that in some of the earlier, I'm talking 10, 12 years ago. I was working with a group that did try some of it, but to answer that question, no, we haven't. We have heard some things about it, and the Skoonka question, we were fully permitted on Skoonka to drill, but then we hit the Franz, or came across the Franz zone, and we made the decision to keep all sort of hands on deck, all resources on Shovelnose at that time with the 3 rigs, rather than get sort of change a bit of our plan. But we are planning to drill Skoonka in as early as possible next year when the snow's melted and there's a really good water runoff then, and that's important up there for water source. So yes, we will be looking to drill Skoonka in May.
Okay, fantastic. And what are the next question? What are the next hurdles that you see? What are the red flags for you over the next 3 to 6 months, apart from the fundraise?
Yeah, hurdles. I guess that's not you know what? I hate to sound overly super optimistic. No one really calls me an overly optimistic guy, but you know what? I don't see a lot of hurdle. I mean, obviously, yeah, as you mentioned there, Matthew, the financing is. I wouldn't call that a hurdle, but I think once we can put a good amount of money in the bank, I think that will be a hurdle. Just as I mentioned there, with the pressure of constantly people thinking when you got three rigs going, that's you're burning a lot of money, as you mentioned there. And as long as we're having success seeing it as we are now, it's okay. It makes me feel a lot better knowing that. But like I said, you got to drill to get to succeed. So that's kind of where we're at. But other than that, I don't see. Obviously, winter's always, though we can work there year round, it's always throws you some good storms up there. But we've always got around that. So yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay.
For the time being.
Next one. Any major gold companies interested in taking on one of your other land parcels at this point, i.e., start splitting up your land packages?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I can't be specific in terms of majors, but there certainly has been a lot of interest on our other projects. But we're also at this point interest as all 4 properties as a potential investment. Like I said, we're not selling this anytime soon, but we like to keep those parceled together as of now, as I think it adds more value as more of a district scale, and of course. As not mentioned there, we also have a 2.5% NSR and 70,000 hectares of Taliskers on this belt. So we have a big a big hold on this belt. So I think we kind of want to keep those all together, but certainly we would look at that as well. We look at everything at this point.
Here's a good one. E.Sprott seems to have invested in everything except this company. Why? Quite like that one.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I'm laughing here as well because I know some not so good ones he's invested in as well. But you know what, I can't really we've had the opportunity, I guess, to and I have a utmost respect for E.Sprott as well. I've met him personally, and a really nice guy. We just haven't, for whatever reason. There's been no. Really, we've had some contacts that would say you want to chat. I guess we just haven't for whatever reason, but for no obvious reason. He certainly hasn't, rejected us for. Yeah, we just haven't. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you could ask that about a lot of sort of mining investors, moguls like that. But yeah, that is a good question. But yeah, for no real reason.
It's me. It's not you. I love that.
I should have said that.
Yeah. Well, hey, Gareth, thanks for that run through. It sounds like you've got some really exciting drill results have come through. A few more, hopefully, at the beginning of next year. And good luck with that raise. But stay in touch. Let us know how you're getting on. I'll be delighted to take that phone call from you.
We will. We're very excited, and look for some news here soon. We're excited moving forward here. So thank you very much for the opportunity.